Hello, team, and welcome back to another Line War cast. This is your map today in a 2v2 between Animorph and Kartoffelman on Alpha Team, and Snow Angel, and someone said that my nickname sucks, on Bravo Team. Animorph is going to be in blue, Kartoffel in red, Snow Angel in orange, and nickname is going to be in teal. Alpha Team spawned into the northwest part of the map, a little bit of southeast play from Bravo Team. Nickname is on the far right here, and their teammate Snow Angel is closer to what's going to end up being the front, at least at the beginning of this match. Spawning relatively close to Kartoffel, who's going for 3 factories, an airport, and a quick refinery with a barracks after it, and then 3 airports immediately out of Animorph in the north, all making bombers for blue. Animorph follows it up with a factory, 2 factories for Snow Angel, nickname building a dock immediately with the transport boat, probably going to start sending these 4 infantry presumably across to either the top right island or where Animorph is spawned. There are 2 trade routes on the right hand side. Nickname might be able to capitalize and start building these. We'll see what the plan is. Artillery pieces out of red. This will be a very difficult choke for either team to, well, mostly for Bravo Team to push through, because Alpha Team's gonna get here first and would be able to dig in if they wanted to. Neither team is gonna know where the other team spawned at this point. Fog of War wise, this is Alpha Team's vision. Alpha Team can't see Bravo Team, and vice versa. And a town for Snow Angel with some of the pre-construction money. That's why the town shows up immediately without needing to be built. And it's going to be 3 factories and 2 barracks production-wise for Orange. Very slowly, these red artillery pieces are going to come into view, or at the very least, Bravo Team's going to start seeing this territory change. This is Kartoffel's view and Alpha Team's view in general. As soon as enough artillery pieces get forward, they're going to see that this territory is becoming orange, which will alert both teams to just how close they are in the center. Blue in the north building some commandos out of this 1 barracks. The 3 bombers are nearly complete. A SAM out of the factory for the first factory unit for blue. And it's going to be helicopters off of the red airport. So relatively soon, Orange is going to have to switch into some sort of SAM production. One of the factories is building SAMs, which is great for Snow Angel, because it is going to be a lot of planes that show up here relatively quickly. The bombers especially will need to watch, because they could be devastating against just a handful of SAMs. SAMs can't hit bombers with their machine gun, which does the majority of their DPS. They can only hit it with their missiles. And off of 3 airports, this is going to be quite the punch from blue, which could be coordinated with this red push. And here's first contact between the 2 artillery pieces. This is 3 factories worth of artillery that is still just pumping out artillery out of the 3 factories for red. Industry for Snow Angel, we can see what nickname's doing. Some industry, some farms, 3 docks out of teal, 2 of which are going for cruisers. And nickname did elect to go to the top right island. Animorph's got a town on the way. And the cruisers could be really nice for teal if they get into this position, so they could start shelling some of these red artillery pieces that are trying to transit through this gap. It looks like Kartoffel's going to back up, potentially dig in, or just consolidate the artillery pieces in the mountain range. This push for Orange, it's going to be tough to do it even if red just continued to push forward, because notably this territory is red controlled, so orange units are going to move more slowly through this mountain range since it's under the enemy's control. It is going to be 3 artillery pieces that are digging in for Kartoffel, which will be very strong. There are 2 helicopters finished for red, and at this point there are, I can count 5 bombers for blue, 1 transport plane, 1 commando ready to jump in this thing. And we'll see where Animorph decides to land the commandos. And blue could really go anywhere with these commandos. They could drop directly on Snow Angel's base. They could go up to the top right and start contesting this top right island. We can see off to the right hand side of the picture, nickname's got 2 cruisers done and a destroyer. Teal clearly going to have the naval supremacy, as there is no dock yet for Alpha Team. And probably a wise decision for both teams to kind of just dig in here, given the situation. It's always tough. Whenever you dig in, you're not spending, like, those units aren't capping. They're just eating away at your upkeep a little bit and your income. But because of how close this is, neither player will want to, you know, leave this exposed and then potentially get jumped on by the other one. The geography of line war maps, super interesting. Totally changes the game. All some asymmetric maps randomly generated. So I can likely guarantee this will be the first time that any of these players have played on this map. Animorph is going to the top right, so it's going to be 2 commandos taking on what is going to be a barracks now for Nickname. So Nickname gets the head start on that top right island. I almost called them barracks. Barracks gets the a nickname on the top right island to start building infantry, still with 2 transport boats and now an airport for Teal. And we wait. 3 helicopters done for Red, a town on the way. This town has a port once it's completed. Red could build the port attached to this. Ports are pretty decent economic buildings. Like pound for pound, usually the traditional advice that I've received at least is the first things to be building are these little industries, the lumber camps, the farms, and the mining sites. And then towns that have ports, because ports are the next best thing to build. Then towns, trade routes, cities. Generally, of course. There's no hard rules in line war. If we go top down, this is the distribution of the map at this point. A little bit cut left to right. And eco-wise, probably relatively similar for both teams at the moment. Nickname continues to reinforce this. We'll see if Animorph decides to send more commandos up to the top right. The SAMs for blue are moving into position in front of the refinery and are going to dig in this forest so they're concealed. And blue has not shown that they have bombers yet. There's really only 4 SAMs here for orange. There's 4 more on the way, which they might be out in time to kind of handle these bombers a little bit. And we'll probably look to have Nickname build some amount of missile boats once these bombers reveal themselves. It is helicopters for Nickname out of their airport. And Snow Angels nearly cap the entire southern peninsula here. And Kartoffel nearly has the far left side of the map all done. There's this little island in the bottom left. I doubt any player is going to really make it a priority to get there. And Red continuing to build artillery out of these 3 factories. Kartoffel moves the helicopters off of the airport, probably to make room for more units. More airplanes to be built. Once there's 5 planes on the airport will stop producing any more planes. So Animorph's about to find themselves in the exact same situation, so we'll probably see a airstrip at some point for blue. Animorph builds a power plant to connect it to this depot. 3 airports, definitely enough that 1 refinery won't be able to sustain that. And I suspect that Animorph has seen that Nickname has a navy, so this refinery isn't a really comfortable thing for blue to build because of how close it is to the shore. Teal certainly has the infantry advantage on the top right island. Animorph did build a barracks producing commandos. And now Nickname has a 2nd refinery set up to power this navy. We'll have to see if there's going to be a rocket at some point for either team here. Just because of how this choke point is going to be tough for either team to bust through. And a little bit of naval support for Nickname moving into position. 2 full airports of planes for Animorph. The 3rd one is about to fill up. And there it goes. And we can check the economies real quick. So it's 685 for blue, 475 for red, 654 for orange, and 712 for nickname in teal. So a little bit of an edge for Bravo team. These bombers are going to start moving now from Animorph. And I don't think they're going to an airstrip because I can't see any of them. And this is going to be a lot of blue bombers that show up for Bravo team in a second. And here they come. 2 dots of 4 SAMs. I suppose there's more SAMs reinforcing here for orange. And we'll get a great look at how many SAMs are needed to deal with 3 airports worth of bombers. The first dot nearly gets entirely cleaned up. And there's going to be, what, 3 SAMs left after this? Maybe even 2? Maybe even 1. It is 3 airports worth of bombers. They take out all the SAMs. Here comes the helicopters. Great communication and coordination from Alpha Team. The helicopters can now move in because there are no SAMs. Helicopters, definitely a little bit of a glass cannon. But if there's no SAMs to deal with these helicopters, you can see just how quickly they are able to wipe this entrenched artillery line, which will start this red push of artillery towards Snow Angel's base. And presumably a little bit of a panic moment for Snow Angel right now, because this is going to be a lot of red artillery. The only good thing here for Bravo Team is that these teal boats are going to get up in this choke and start shelling away at these red artillery pieces. The black plumes of smoke showing that Nickname is struggling with energy. A forward factory from Nickname to start supporting Snow Angel, who also puts down another factory to deal with this push. And a little bit tough. Nickname's going to have to take this refinery most likely. Snow Angel's building this town to connect it to this other town that Nickname has in the top right to start that trade route. And here come the bombers again. 2 missile boats for Teal, doing their best to buy a little bit of time. They're both taken out. Animorph has plenty of gas to at least run these bomber sorties. And looking like a very strong push from Alpha Team. Farm gets taken out. Explodes and makes the sound that a farm does when it explodes. If you can imagine that. And the cruisers, which are in a great position to at least start delaying these artillery pieces, there's just too much artillery and there's too many planes. And it's a great play from Alpha Team. A barracks now in front for Nickname and another factory on the way for Snow Angel, who will likely need to start grouping up a bunch of artillery at home. Potentially even just doing dig-in commands in order to hold this off. Animorph's going to drop back door, lose the transport plane, but the 2 commandos will land. And Animorph's doing a great job to stuff this landing attempt from Nickname. Moving up the SAMs now to go towards the coast to help out even further, because it is 2 transport boats, so it's going to be a decent flow of reinforcements for Teal here. But this is a lot of artillery for Red and a lot of helicopters, which puts Orange in a little bit of a tough position, because Snow Angel needs to build artillery pieces or tanks potentially to deal with this many artillery pieces from Red. But every artillery piece that's built is 1 less SAM that's built, obviously. So these helicopters just continue getting great value. By this point, Kartoffel is on top of the town. The town is certainly going to fall, this northernmost one. And it'll be interesting to see if there's any way that Bravo Team can defend this. The trade route is getting set up for Bravo Team, which will be a huge economic boost. Clearly, Animorph lost that barracks in the north. Another good bombing run. There's 5 missile boats, a 6th one really for a Nickname, that are going to park themselves between where these bombers need to go. but this is very devastating. And so there's an airstrip for Animorph right beside these 3 airports. If Kartoffel made an airstrip over here as well, then the bombers would be able to, at least some of the bombers would be able to take a different angle of attack to this part of the map and not have to fly over all these missile boats on the way home. So the bombers are out of payload. They're just going home. The command's been deleted. Probably like 3-ish bombers, maybe 4 bombers are going to get shot down here by near full dot of missile boats. And Nickname has shifted where they're doing the landing closer to this refinery. And we'll be able to take this out. The way that these airports are positioned, there's no way to rotate buildings in line war. So the landing position for these bombers are going to naturally just have to fly over these missile boats every time that they come home if they're going back to those airports. By this point, Snow Angel is left with only 3 factories starting to rebuild in the bottom, with the barracks producing commandos. Snow Angel's on this bottom left island at this point, a dock and a factory. Nickname snipes that refinery. We'll lose all of the infantry, but that's presumably okay. And thankfully for Animorph, they have a depot set up, so they're able to conserve a bunch of this energy, and Blue just immediately rebuilds that refinery. Red continues to go for helicopters. They're only on 1 refinery, so there's enough red helicopters at this point that 1 refinery can't really handle that many units, that many energy producing units, or energy consuming units, pardon me. But Nickname has 6 helicopters that are ready to get in the fight. If they have the energy to do so, they're going to be very good because there's no red SAMs here, there's no interceptors for either player. And this is now such a number of missile boats for Teal. But the bombers are in a little bit of a tough position, because Animorph knows anytime that they get sent out, if they're going back to these airports and airstrips, they're going to have to fly over all those missile boats. Nickname's going to start landing on Animorph's territory in the north. Now has total control of this top right island, and building this second town and port on the top right island to get that second trade route set up. Another factory for Nickname here. And potentially with the aid of all these helicopters, Bravo team won't lose every building here, but they're definitely going to lose a few. There's just that, like, there's enough artillery pieces still for Red. But who knows? That's why we watch. 6 helicopters for Teal doing work, hovering over the targets of the artillery. Still no SAMs for Red. There is a little bit of a switch up, so Kartoffel's building 3 SAMs at a time now out of these factories. Animorph is using the bombers to try to chip away at these missile boats. This is where the attack move went for the bombers, which makes a lot of sense. The bombers are pretty much locked in where they're at right now. And over time, it'll probably only get worse for Animorph because Nickname is likely reinforcing with more missile boats, and that's what we're seeing. So with heavy losses, these bombers pare this group of missile boats down to just 3. And these Teal helicopters coming in clutch. And only 1 factory will go down for Bravo team. And we might see the momentum shift a little bit. Nickname still has a decent amount of reinforcements that will be able to land here. And importantly, the trade route is set up and starting to generate income for Bravo team, which will likely be a huge boost. Animorph is left with 6 bombers, 3 more on the way. And a very fierce fight here. This matters a lot. If Nickname can get situated and start pushing inland and start destroying this refinery again, maybe taking out this blue barracks, potentially even building production on this landmass. It'd be a huge win for Bravo Team. Animorph realizes this, or I assume this is what the read is by building this factory in the mountains to make sure that that doesn't happen. The port is on the way for this third town in this trade route system. So when it's set up, that'll be the second trade route for Bravo Team. If we check the economies, I suspect that Bravo Team is ahead now, firmly on the eco. And here comes a rocket from Animorph by the airports. The launch pad on the way. It can do both. It could rocket, you know, this landing army from Nickname, because Nickname's going back to that original spot that they were landing here with a, you know, off the power of 2 barracks and 3 transport boats. So the rocket could be used over here. It could, of course, be used where this main battle has been going on. But we'll have to see if if Bravo Team's economy is going to be able to carry them through here off these trade routes. It's some amount of boats for Snow Angel. 4 commandos might be able to get through here and snipe this town. In fact, 2 commandos have already landed and they're just jetting their way up to the top left. Animorph is building a city in the back here, upgrading this town now that it has the 4 industry built already. So Blue making big economic plays while also trying to hold off this attack from Nickname, who's going to start sending the helicopters up to support. Animorphs now unlocked these bombers by pushing these missile boats from Nickname back, so they're able to get back into the fight. And second port, crane goes down. Very shortly, the merchant boats will start getting constructed and moving. Nickname's built all 4 industries up here, so this is a city location as well that Nickname could upgrade shortly. And Animorph destroys the launch pad intentionally, is what it looks like. Launch pads are very expensive to maintain and also require 500 income just to build a rocket. So maybe the calculation was that that wasn't going to work. A sub-pen for Blue. Great spotting by Nickname, who will likely see this. This is Bravo Team's vision, so you can see that there's a stealth characteristic to submarine pens. So although it's right here, these 3 missile boats can't see it yet. Animorph's done a decent job to hold this off. Stop this landing. The factory is now up. There's a second factory on the way for Animorph. 3 helicopters could be very good for Nickname, though. Since there's no SAMs here for Blue. The SAMs were used earlier to fight the landing infantry and commando army, since they needed to. And we'll see what Kartoffel can do with this army, which is going to have to face off against what is now 5 factories, pardon me, for Snow Angel in the south. Now 6 on the way. Nickname's building a barracks and a factory to support this other factory, which nearly got taken out, but is still alive. And these 2 trade routes are certainly online at this point. The commandos for Snow Angel are in this little forest. We'll see if Snow Angel decides to start capping this territory, maybe build a sneaky barracks in the forest, or just continue moving these commandos. There's really nothing over here garrisoned by this city, and the bomber range for Animorph is maybe close enough to the city to be able to defend the commandos, but of course it would depend on how quick Animorph realizes that there are 2 commandos attacking that city. 2 commandos definitely can be enough if given enough time to destroy a city, and then in all of the economy over here for Blue. Here comes the push from Nickname in from the east. Hopefully gonna kind of surround this army from Kartoffel, or at least make Red fight on 2 fronts. Good amount of helicopters from Red, though. Not that many SAMs for Orange. And Nickname has Reconstituted is the $5 word we're going to use in this cast. This number of missile boats taking on these bombers. This is very expensive over time, I think, for Blue, who now has like 8-ish helicopter, or 8-ish, pardon me, bombers that have survived. The first submarine is out for Blue. This is enough boats for Teal that they'll be able to detect those submarines. But the subs could still be very useful. And now a factory and a barracks for Nickname on Animorph's landmass. The helicopters nearly taking out this refinery. They proc to this SAM instead. And if these two buildings can get online for Nickname, that would be very good for Bravo Team, obviously. Nickname now sees this submarine, will be alerted that there is a submarine pen somewhere here. With this many missile boats, it's enough to see that stealth sub pen. And we have the first tank from Animorph, which is likely a very good call, because this is an open field. And the tanks can do very well. They'll have to dodge all these helicopters. Kartoffel's got a dot of SAMs that are rushing in to start attacking the helicopters, at least force them back. They get one, they will likely get two. And they do. And a very wide front at this point. Nickname actually has a factory and a barracks as well down here, since they control this one territory in and amongst Snow Angels and Kartoffel's territories. And we can check the ecos. We should start from the top because I'm going to get confused. It's 1036 for Blue, 702 for Red, 943 for Orange, and 1477 for Teal. It is a factory out of this, a sneaky factory in this proxy location that those two commandos were able to take. It's likely undetected by Alpha Team at this point just because it's so far away from the action. And here come the bombers again, picking away at two missile boats. The Teal boats are over here shelling these two factories. But they'll pull back to deal with the Blue bombers. The factory and the barracks are now online for Teal. Certainly Animorph with 4 factories and 1 barracks has enough production to defend this refinery. There's 4 SAMs here as well. So any number of helicopters that would go over from Nickname at this point probably will get shut down. And Animorph doubles down on providing support in this choke with 3 factories. Snow Angel is going to be able to push to the north here off of what is, I think, 1,300 factories. It's going to be all artillery and SAMs as well, so this will be a very strong army the longer this goes on. And a great play from Snow Angel to have these 3 cruisers now move up and attack this one refinery from Red. Kartoffel only has 2 helicopters left, so not a huge blow to them. Like, it's not like they have a, relying on energy producing or energy consuming units in this attack. But again, Animorph's in a tough spot because these bombers are boxed in again by what is nearly 2 full dots of, pardon me, missile boats. It's another barracks in the north, so it's SAMs out of this factory for Snow Angel. Potentially in anticipation of the bombers being used defensively. And we see in the top right, Nickname's going to start backing up all these units, grouping them up for another push towards this Blue refinery. Good reaction time from Kartoffel, sending out the 2 helicopters to try to deal with these 3 cruisers from Orange attacking the refinery. They won't be able to destroy 3 cruisers in that amount of time. And so the helicopters for Red will be grounded. And it's going to be a sort of weird situation because Kartoffel doesn't have like a reasonable refinery to take instead of this one. The only real way to get energy now would be to build a depot and connect it to Animorph's energy system, and then have Animorph share. Launchpad for Nickname in a very central location. It's very close to the coast, but Nickname doesn't necessarily need to worry about any boats attacking this because of the naval supremacy on the right-hand side. And it looks like Kartoffel wants to dig in a little bit instead of continuing to push, which will at least make it so that they don't have to fight on two fronts. They just kind of have to fight to the east. And more tanks from Animorph. 4 factories all going tanks. That is going to be very strong the longer that Blue can build up these tank numbers. 1 missile boat for Snow Angel parking out amongst the cruisers, working on these helicopters that cannot move. And this is a great play from Orange and Bravo team to lock down this refinery. The push from Nickname in the north isn't really going super well just because of the amount of production that Blue has up here, going for artillery pieces and 1 full dot of SAMs completed. And we can see what's going on the top left. It's Commando Sam out of this factory and barracks that it still survives. 3 SAMs now completed, a 4th one on the way. Tanks do very decent against artillery like this. There's a lot of talk, like in the Discord, about tank rushes being very strong, or sorry, like artillery blobs in general being strong and not knowing how to deal with them. And of course there's different situations on what to build, and like the situation, you know, post a replay in the Discord and ask for help. That generally, like, folks on the Discord are super receptive to taking a look and trying to help. But one of the units that can really do well against them is tanks like this. If you get enough tanks against a blob and you kite a little bit, you can buy a lot of time. And in straight up trades, tanks do great against artillery pieces. Pardon me. So the plan from Red is just to push 5 line wide attack with all these artillery pieces. You can almost sense that Alpha Team is realizing that this is getting a little bit tough for them. And these 2 transport lanes are still open for Bravo Team. SAMs will move off to the mountains to deal with these 2 helicopters that show up. The helicopters are in a lot of trouble right now against this many SAMs. Second one goes down. But still great positioning from Nickname here with all the missile boats. Rocket is 1/3 of the way done for Teal. And this could be devastating no matter where it goes. If it goes to the north in this mountain range, it'll do a lot of damage. And of course, if it goes towards the bulk of the production for Red, it'd do a lot of damage as well. Subpen in the north for Animorph. I really like this play. Subs can do a great job to disrupt these shipping lanes and destroy these merchant boats. And if they're destroyed before they get to the other port, then Bravo Team would make no money off of having this trade route, because it's dependent on these boats showing up to the port and unloading their cargo. That's when you get the eco boost from it. Still 4 tanks at a time from Blue. There's 4 helicopters on this airport. The flag indicates that this is airport sharing, so some Blue bombers could land here if they wanted to. Here comes that depot from Kartoffel that will get connected to Blue's energy network relatively soon. The bombers are dispatched Pretty decent reaction time to try to deal with these commandos who are going to get on top of this city. And there should be enough bombers for Animorph to be able to see those commandos, even with their stealth characteristics. This is Animorph's vision, so you can definitely hear the commandos. And this is unfortunate, because the bulk of the commandos on the city, it's not enough bombers to actually detect this. So that city will go down for Animorph. That is a huge problem for Alpha Team. That we're already in a little bit of a tough position. Nickname's Rocket is going to further complicate things. My guess is it goes to the left. Okay, left-ish. And it might just go towards the army? Pretty decent hit, takes out a friendly boat. And then another rocket immediately getting built for Nickname. City is destroyed. 2 barracks for Manamorph here. But Snow Angel will see this and probably destroy these before they're able to build any units. And all the commandos that were on this bottom left island are now in the back lines of Kartoffel, and it's enough commandos that they can just fight all of this infantry. Since there's actually more commandos than red infantry there. The tanks are going forward, or blue. The rocket, the launch pad hasn't been detected, isn't seen. But Nickname, if they park a bunch of boats here, which looks like that's what the plan is. The tanks, if they focus on the launch pad, will likely be able to destroy it, but still at a decent cost. And I mean, the tanks kind of have to sit here and actually fight this main army from Teal anyway. First submarine's done for Animorph, who is about to get control back of this peninsula. And importantly, there's no more bombers left. Or blue. Just these 2. Kartoffel sends these helicopters up, but helicopters are going to have the same problem with just 2 helicopters. They're not going to be able to see these commandos. Especially when they're in the forest here. Because of their stealth characteristics. They're going to be able to destroy that town, which will in turn destroy that port. When you destroy a town that has a port connected to it, the port explodes automatically. I say it like it's a question, it's not. The port just explodes automatically. And now this is just a huge number of units for Bravo Team. Good mix of SAM, artillery. Only thing we're really not seeing is tanks. And now these boats for Nickname are going to have a way better time. There's on the one side of the choke, there's 3 orange cruisers. On the north side of the choke, there's 2 teal cruisers and enough missile boats that the bombers won't be able to show up again and destroy these things. There's not really enough bombers to do so anyway. And this one cruiser, I wonder how long that cruiser had been up there for Nickname, providing support from the coast. And if we go top down, decent amount of orange stuff. Corresponding to Bravo Team. And that will be GG. I mean, Animorph's out of the game. Kartoffel leaves shortly after. Well played, all 4. And props to Nickname, who posted this in the match replays channel in the Discord. Nickname posts games where they win and also they lose, so I never know. It's always fun to watch. But well played all. Hope you enjoyed this video. Twitch.tv/SodaQuackers if you want to drop by, say hello, watch the game. I stream Line War. Other folks do as well, so check out the category. And again, Line War Discord. If you want to learn more about the game, ask questions, chat with folks, look for games. Otherwise, I hope you have a wonderful night, day, evening, breakfast, lunch, dinner, whatever it is. We will see you around. I want to see the income real quick. There you go, trade routes. Peace.